These ciabatta rolls are soft in the center with loads of open pores, and they have a fine crispy crust with an amazing flavor. And I'm so happy that many of you have made a wonderful ciabatta bread using our easy and faster artisan ciabatta bread recipe. And this ciabatta rolls recipe is a slight variant of our previous recipe. To add more complex flavor to our ciabatta bread, we are using cold and slow fermented dough in this video, and the method requires a very little effort but some time, and we can make them if we have these four basic ingredients with us: some flour, water, salt and yeast. And to get big open crumb and for that unique ciabatta flavor, we usually need to add a starter like a biga or polish, but in this recipe we are not using a starter, and so it will be so much easier for us to make these ciabatta rolls. And at the same time, our resulting rolls have an amazing texture with big open crumb and with a crispy crust. So in this video, let's see how to make this wonderful ciabatta rolls in 6 simple steps. So as the first step, let's prepare the dough. Into a bowl, add in water. Here I've used room temperature water, 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of yeast, and stir until they get dissolved. And now let's add in flour. We can use bread flour or all-purpose flour. Here I've used all-purpose flour, and combine them all together to form a shaggy mass of dough. Here I'm using the rear end of a wooden spoon to mix them all together. And that's it. We prepared our bread dough, and we just need to make sure there are no dry patches left behind and it's a homogeneous mixture. And now let's cover it with a plastic film and let the dough sit and dry for 2 hours on the countertop or in a warm environment. And now it's been 2 hours. Our dough has risen well, and now what we are going to do is to keep this dough in the fridge. And after 24 hours, I took the dough out of the fridge, and now the gluten in our dough is well developed. And all that we are going to do is to weave them to give a good structure, and we do it by stretching and folding the dough. You can see our dough is very sticky to handle, but we have a simple trick. When our hands are wet, it will not stick to our hands, and it will make it easy for us to handle the dough. And so don't forget to dip your hands in water before doing the stretching and folding. So now we are going to stretch and fold the dough 4 times in every half an hour, which is so relaxing and satisfying to do. So now let's do the first folding. So stretch the dough and fold it onto itself, and turn the bowl 90 degrees and repeat the same on all 4 sides. And now cover it with a plastic film and keep it in a warm environment or on the countertop. So it's been another half an hour. So let's do the second folding. And now cover it with a plastic film and leave it on the counter for another half an hour. And now it's the third folding. Now it's the fourth folding or the final folding. We can see a good improvement in the structure of our dough. It's been another half an hour and now it's ready for the next step, that is to divide and shape the dough. So now let's transfer this dough onto a well-floured work surface. And remember, our dough is still very sticky, and at this point, to prevent them from sticking to the surface, we need to dust the work surface generously with flour, and again dust the top of the dough with some more flour. And now we need to stretch the dough from underneath to form a rectangle. And we need to take care not to deflate those air pockets, and it's totally okay if we happen to deflate a few air pockets here and there. And now let's divide and shape the dough. And we can divide the dough into squares or rectangles. Here I've divided the dough into 6 approximate equal squares. And now let's transfer each portion onto another well-floured work surface. And we need to take care to leave some space in between each of them, as they will rise and expand a little during this final proofing. And dust the top of the dough with some more flour so that it will not stick to the cling film, and then cover it with a plastic film and let the dough sit and rise for another 30 minutes. And after the final proofing, let's transfer this dough onto a parchment paper. Here I have placed my parchment paper on a cooling rack, which will make it easy for us to transfer the dough while we take it into the oven. I'm brushing off any excess flour on top of the dough. And now our dough is ready to go into the oven. So let's carefully slide this parchment paper with the rolls onto a preheated pizza stone if you have one, or we can also use an inverted baking tray, just as I've done here. And immediately spray with some water and cover the oven door, and bake the bread in a 425 Fahrenheit preheated oven for 15 minutes, and then reduce the temperature to 375 Fahrenheit and bake for another 5 to 8 minutes. And after baking, we'll get those beautiful golden brown ciabatta rolls. They are so light and so flavorful, with an amazing open crumb and with a soft interior and with that caramelized crispy crust. And they are so good to dice and have them with some olive oil, or to slice horizontally and to make a delicious sandwich. And these rolls are best to have while they are fresh and warm out of the oven. And if you want to make a big batch, we can double this recipe, and we can shape them into long rectangles to make a big ciabatta bread as well. And I hope you like this ciabatta rolls recipe, and I hope you will make this at home, and I'm sure you will love this bread. And if you like this video, please give your valuable thumbs up, and please don't forget to share this recipe with your friends and family who love baking homemade bread. And thank you so much for your love and support, and thanks for watching this video. See you next time.